Miss Friends with the tech ties. We see you out there. Had to switch out. I wanted some new earrings. We appreciate you. Appreciate you on the compliments for the you and Afri on the intro. I gotta make another beat. I gotta make another beat. I need a beat. That's an old jam, ain't it? I need a beat.
It's an old jam now.
Huh?
It's an old jam.
Yeah, I need a beat. It's the old rap song. Um, I need a beat. Let me see. Heading back what the 80s? I need a beat. Song. Yeah, I need a beat. LL Cool J. I need a beat. You know one crazy. I need one for for all the different shows. That's what I need. I had that day I had my when I did that I had my headphones on and I had my external speaker and then I went and played it on the TV and then I went and played it on with the headphones on so you can hear some noises and stuff in the background, some different things you don't hear it on here. Some different instruments that are in the background. Some different instruments in the background. How you doing today, D?
I'm here. I'm good
I
and
guess
not good.
I guess I put my glasses on.
Yeah, I'm good and I'm not good. I'm good because I woke up this morning. We here. It was a great show. Um, Tech stocks and jobs. It was awesome this morning. Um, it came from like a really, really genuine place, of moving the needle forward and, let's just deal with the reality of where we are and not what we won't do, but what is going on and how do we move forward with the solution? And we're definitely about solutions. What are the solutions? Because this is what we're looking at, not just for the Black community, but globally.
Mm,
You know, um, Women are outliving men, and what does that look like for women with a second and a uh, third, sometimes retirement?
mm-hmm,
That was definitely new to me, and we discussed that last night on Foolish Fridays about second retirements,
mm-hmm,
and then also just for the men, why there is a living gap. I forgot what they called it, but just why they don't live as long as women, and many of those things, I'm sad to say, are like really self-inflicted things.
mm-hmm,
And we have that conversation all the time in regards to um, men. You don't have to shoulder those burdens alone.
mm-hmm,
If you are married, that's why you are in a partnership with your wife. um, if you are in a family, to speak with someone. If you have a friend group, tap into your friend group. I've known several men that have taken their lives over suicide, suffering in silence. I know several men that have had strokes and haven't recovered, or that's what they call unalived. And these leave major holes, um, there's craters in your family dynamic. And also we always think that we're going to live a long time, and I'm guilty too. I have some things in place, but I definitely have to have button up some things for myself, so
mm-hmm.
my family, um, my business partner, the people in my life that I care about, they are taken care of, and it won't have to go through probate and all those other things. So it's really, really heavy, and the same conversations that we are having on these lives, I'm actually dealing with right now with my family. you know in the incident that happened with my aunt. So, and it's, and I have all these emotions about it because I'm frustrated because here you are delivering this, wealth of knowledge and resource and opportunity, and your family's not watching it. And then, you think about the money that they do make, and it's just like, why are things in place? Why aren't you having the tough conversations? What did you think was happening? And just the logic behind it, I'm not okay with, to be honest. Like really, like, you're worried about the wrong things. Like, what you put your time and focus in, that's a problem for me. But they're not living under my household, my roof, rather, but they are my family, and I want the best for them in all aspects. And I don't like that pass around the pot mentality, and GoFundMe mentality, and all those type of things. Like, why, if you got a cable bill, you should have life insurance, period. If you go get your nails done every week, you should have life insurance. If you get you a cup of Starbucks every day, you should have life insurance. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get your hair done every week, you need life insurance. Like, it's just certain things, whether it's a term policy, and you don't have to have a lot of money for these things. You can get a policy through your bank. They send those envelopes all the time. You can get a policy through a short-term policy until you increase your income, but get something, whether it's 5,000 to cover the bare minimums, 10,000, 15,000. You should have something. There's just definitely no excuse at this stage in the game. That's just where I'm at it, and it's like I said, I have so many emotions about it. It's just, it hurts my heart though, right? You know what I'm saying? It hurts my spirit because it's just like, man, people are just surviving. They're not thriving.
Just living day to day.
It's just living day to day. And when the shit hits the fan, you realize, like, man, I haven't been really taking care of business. Like, what am I doing? Who am I living for? You know what I'm saying? Am I living for the gram? Am I living for people around me? Because I want to, because I'm trying to show people who I'm pulling up at work with when I'm driving. You know what I'm saying? But the true test of your endurance, your ability is, the things that you do, for your family, like what you take home. I don't care if I dress like a bum and I had the same tennis shoes on for a year. At the end of the day, I am working my financial goals and making sure that those goals are solid. Are solid. You know what I'm saying? And tomorrow we might be multi-millionaire billionaires. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? And that is another windfall and things that you have to put together. But it's just so important for for the people that come on and show up, our community, that you just are not looking. You're just not sitting here absorbing for the petty tea moments, or the shits and giggles, but that you're actually taking some of these things. And we are not financial planners. We are not all these things, but these are just necessities in life. These are just necessities. It's part of adulting. It's definitely part of adulting, and our parents are a part of that plan. And one of the things about that wealth gap is that our blacks always have to go back. It's never, it's rarely forward. And if you're able to go forward and your parents have planned for their end of life and their retirement and things of that nature, that's such a blessing. But half the time we have to go back and take care and nurture those situations, because we are responsible for the elderly in our family. Our parents are getting older.
Mhm.
It's just a fact of life. And sometimes we lock in our brains that they're still in their 30s or their 40s, because we see them as your mom or your dad, and they're always going to be their spry young self. But the facts still remain. Both my parents are over 65. That means a lot of things in the insurance world. That means a lot of things in the healthcare world, in Social Security, in any type of insurance, auto, life, all those type of things. The older you get, the more that window closes. So take something and do it. Do something.
Foundation.
Yeah.
Build a foundation. Once you get the foundation, then you can start putting things towards that. You could take $200 and apply it towards the foundation that you set. Whether it's I buy $5 worth of Apple today, you put $10 into arrived homes. You put $10 into a IRA or a 401k, and you put another 10 into an emergency fund, or you add on to some type of CD or something like that. Just little things, right? Just taking the little stuff, but understanding creating your foundation is the first step. And then you just build on that foundation, right? But you can't, if you don't start and you don't create a foundation, then you'll just be sitting on the sidelines all the time.
You will be. You definitely will be worried about getting more money. I don't have that yet. Oh, you have it. You have it, but are you willing to go through the sacrifice to be without it? At the end of the day, how much money you are making, it does not matter. You are supposed to be taking 25% of that money and putting it away.
Yeah, the minimum is 15 and 25 is and up is where
You're supposed to
you
be putting
really
that away for yourself off the rip.
accumulation.
You're supposed to be putting that away in your bills and your credit card payments. You're not even supposed to be taking out of your savings. And I've been guilty of that, to say, oh, let me just go pay these things off. No, you are not supposed to touch that money. That money has a plan and is going towards something else.
Yeah. Tell you like how my mom did with herself is the money that she had when she paid off her car, she just left it going to a savings account. But in that account, you have to, there's no debit card or check or anything. She had to go to the bank and get it out. And she's been putting money in there since, I don't know, probably 2010, 2012 or something like that. Whenever she last time that she bought an Altima, whatever
And
that was.
that's super smart,
Yeah.
because you've already been going without that money. You've
Hmm.
already been living without that money for so long. Let me go put that away.
Yep. So the car note and the car insurance all go to an account that she just continue to pay into it. Right. Whatever that is, that's what she pay into it. And then when she need to get some money out, she was like, okay, I need to get some money out. And then she just double up the payments to pay herself back in that account. Right. So just a tactic you can use. Another tactic you can use was what I do. I know I'm gonna need some money later on down the line, whatever that looks like, but I don't want to touch it. I just, a lot of people tell you don't do this, don't go get an annuity. I just went and got an annuity, and I just overfund it and put money in there every month, right?
And then banks have those, like my credit union has like thrift savings plans and all
Hmm.
that type of stuff. And I think I think that Acorn does that. That app
Acorns,
Acorn does that stuff
yeah,
for you as well.
and
Like
then you
if you
got
got all these
targeted date funds.
subscriptions, yeah, like if you got all these subscriptions to Hulu and Amazon and Netflix and Stars, like you can get yourself some insurance.
Yep.
You can start investing in stocks. You can do fractionals. Like if you can pay that stuff a month, That's what you can do for yourself.
Yeah, I was told yesterday to go get some disability insurance
That's the Aflac. I got that at work.
outside of work,
Oh, outside of work.
outside of work, outside of your job. Get some disability insurance.
But it's still Aflac, right? Or did they give you other companies that you can get that type of insurance from?
I'm right now. I'm looking at Guardian is one, but I gotta go look and do my research on that.
Mm-hmm.
The State Farm, let's see, it's like has it,
Okay.
but the reason for the disability insurance is one, in case something happened to your hands. Like I said before, my hands is how I make money.
You know mine be locked up.
Yeah, my hands is how I make money. That little piece is
Yeah.
barking me. My hands is how I make money. The other piece is for disability, in case you do suffer at work, your short term disability is not going to cover everything that you need.
I got both. I got short and long term.
I
Like
got short and
everything they
long
have to
term.
offer, I'm
Yeah,
signing up for it.
yeah, I got short and long term. But outside of that, something happens to you, you know, just need to have
You
that.
want to have that covered. You
Yeah.
want to have that covered. Like you want to maintain your quality of life. You don't want to take no L's.
Right.
Trust me, I definitely get it. Definitely
Yep.
get it. But parents are not gonna live forever. Your siblings are not gonna live forever. You're
You
not
not
gonna
gonna
live
live
forever.
forever.
Like have the conversations. Have the tough conversations. What y'all doing with y'all got life insurance? Well, what do we need to schedule something to talk to somebody? Let's get somebody like why don't you? Do you have it at work? How much is it? What's going on? What we doing? Because
Mhm.
your grandmamas and them, they not here no more. They not, they're not rounding you up and paying like Tam say the insurance man that come knocking on the door every month. They're not here.
Mhm.
You have to take responsibility for your own self, your own community. For me, community is somebody that you can put your hand on. That is your community. How can you make a difference? How can you guys grow together? Um, make yourself better. Um, show up in a way where it's not superficial. Show up in a real way. Me and my cousin, we
Mhm.
always crack up like, don't call me if you want some fluff, because I'm going to tell you what you need to hear in love. And sometimes it's not what you think you want to hear at that moment.
Yep.
It's just not. Like sometimes you need somebody to tell you the truth about it, and it doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be rude. But you can have a honest conversation with the people that you care
Yep.
about what's next. Yeah, and it's not just insurance to think about. I definitely agree, Miss Phoenix. It's not, because at the end of the day, when your mother is sick or your father is sick, where are they living? What does that look like? We just talked about the assisted living places are rejecting Medicaid. They're putting seniors out because they're like, Medicaid is not cutting the mustard. We need those dollars.
Mhm.
And it used to be where that was guaranteed money.
Mhm.
So what does that do for the quality of care? Are you prepared to put your life on hold to care? Have you taken a class? Have you taken the CNA course? Are you ready to change diapers? Are you ready to give shots and medicate? Like, where are you at mentally with that? Right, Miss. Where your spouse? Do they know how to log? Where's the accounts? You can't be in the blind like, oh, he was taking care of all of that.
Yeah. And that's why I like the messaging from Oak Harvest. I follow them. I think, like I said, I think they're based out of Dallas area. They're like, hey, and I played that video before. We have men that come in, or we talk to them, and they want to build out this portfolio, this wealth management plan, and so forth and so on. And they'll talk to them after one or two times, but that third time, it's like you got to bring in your wife because they won't do business with them because they find that most of the time the men die first and the women die secondly. And when the women come in to talk to them, the husband is the one that had the rapport
That's
with
what
them.
you told us that the other
And the
day.
wife
Yeah.
doesn't have a rapport, so they lose her one as a customer, and now she's going on to go talk to someone else because she has no trust in them because they were like, why would you be talking to him? And it's our life. And so they want to make sure that gets uh that actually happens, and actually the documentation of everything, they literally go through the document and so forth. And even with my insurance guy, um he was like, well, the people that are your beneficiaries or what have you, are have you spoken to them? Do you talk to them? What's the plan? Do they know what needs to be executed? Even if you have an estate plan, do they know who's going to contact them? Who's the person? Who do they need to report to? All of those things, because those things are important, because people die, and you don't know what they had. You don't know
You don't know, and you don't know where to look. And
where.
what is cold about it is after the initial appointment and you set up the appointment, you shouldn't even showed up at that appointment without your spouse. That's like you. Why are you here without your significant other to
Mhm.
have this conversation? Why are they not a part of this process?
Yep.
This is a problem.
And the goal is for you not to struggle after I'm gone, right? I had this conversation with Dee the other day. I was like, so look, if something happened to me, I have plenty of insurance with these companies, blah 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 blah. I'll write it up, but
Because
again,
that's what I told her. Is did it right or
but
we
you
need
at
to write
least
all that
know
stuff
about
down.
it. You at least know about it. You may not know exactly what it look, but you heard me talk about it at least, and you're not sitting in the blind like, okay, what does I do? What is we gonna do
What
next?
is we gonna do? What is we gonna
We
do?
gonna do next, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the goal, right? So for today, we got a couple of topics to cover. I didn't get a chance to talk about AI how I wanted to last week, and I got to go back and pull all my links up. I had tons of links on AI, and not just data centers, but AI in your everyday life. How AI is changing things in your everyday life. But I'll go back and pull all that. But today, I wanted to talk about exposure, and I wanted to talk about Linux, and I wanted to talk about conferences, and I want to talk about what are jobs at, and having a balance, right? What's going on, Jawan? How you doing? I saw Jasmine and Tracy, Afri, Miss Phoenix, Tracy. What's going on with y'all? All
I
right.
heard something really, really interesting
Uh
about
oh.
balance. Like,
Okay.
it's really difficult to find the balance. Like our life work balance is definitely like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the person said, like, I'm trying to find my flow. And I was like, that's what it is, a flow. How can you go and make that flow together harmoniously?
What you mean?
Like, so last night at 5 in the morning my time and 2 in the morning your time, maybe three, you wanted to talk about some business stuff. I hung
Oh,
up
I
on
was
you.
playing with you.
I know you were playing with me, but also how does that flow? And sometimes we're really good at our flow and sometimes we're really bad at our flow. Like, for instance, when we go to conferences, we schedule a couple of days before the conference or after the conference to kind of decompress or see what's in that area. That's a flow. Personal time, business time, home.
Mm.
That's a flow. You know what I'm saying? What does that look like in our day? Like, I still haven't gotten the flow of our time difference. Like, I am struggling with our time difference, especially at night. I
Mm.
have been on the struggle bus with that.
I don't know
How
why.
did we make that flow? Because it's earlier for you than it is for me. So you are still up, but I am down.
But you'll be wide awake.
But I really don't.
Yes, you do. If the lights is on and you sitting at your desk and you
But I
are
might
like,
be going to bed, and then we'll have
you
a
don't be going to
conversation.
bed.
But what I'm saying is, I should be in bed.
But you don't be.
But I should be. That's what I'm saying. I be struggling with it because I'm like, okay, I want to wake up. It's easier for me to wake up and exercise, but I'm up late. And then I'm talking to you, and by the time we look up,
Hey,
it's an hour.
whoa. Do not blame.
Wait a minute.
Don't blame
As much
me.
as you be pointing the fingers to a person with the fourth letter in the alphabet that holds on the second show,
alphabet.
I'm not blaming it on you. I said I struggle.
I'm just clarifying.
Of you being in 2 hours, like when you were in Virginia, it was different. But this time zone thing, it is a struggle. It's my struggle.
I don't know why it's a struggle.
It's not a struggle for you because you are behind.
No, I said I don't know why it's a struggle for you. Go to bed.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. I'm not gonna put you on blast. We're gonna keep it moving.
No, you can put me on blast
today. It's jam packed for how many minutes
for you.
Thank you guys for coming.
This is the problem right here.
Go ahead and hit the like button.
Is the problem.
If you are new with us,
go ahead and
click subscribe.
This is the problem right here. This is the problem.
Not only click subscribe, but go ahead and hit the notification.
Again, this is the problem. Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest. Go to bed.
This is what we're doing today.
Go to bed. You have every option to go to bed, but you don't go to bed. Why? Why?
Because this is what okay. So you're asking me.
Yes.
What about my time? This is our time. You've ignored me all day. This is our time. You said you were gonna call me back. You didn't call me back. I have 4 things that I need to talk to you.
4th letter of the alphabet. Let's say this. You have every option. Go to bed. What you do is you say, I'll call you back. I say, okay. I go off into the world of studying and whatever. I call you back after about 2 hours. It'd be 12 o'clock my time. I'm like, she should be in the bed. Let me check. I'll call you. The lights be on. You got cashews. No, you got croutons on the side that you chewing on.
I told it's not your issue. It's a me.
I know it's not my issue. I'm trying to help you.
Talk to you. I cater to that need of my friend needing to talk to
you. Now you're trying to blame that you're catering to me.
So I don't care what you're talking about. I said what I said.
You see how you do that?
And naturally, I am nocturnal. I am not a day person. And mind you, I get up at 7 something in the morning and work a full shift. I am not. And so at 12-ish, maybe 1 o'clock, I get this second wind because I'm naturally nocturnal. Now, I may be up and I might have a lot on my mind, but I'm winding down and trying to prepare. So again, I said it's something I am struggling
I
with.
Get that, but you just said I need my time.
We have specific times where we talk to each other. In the morning, it's 10 my time, it's 8 your time. When I know when it's when you went to sleep, depending on the day, when I can call and I'll get it in. If it's an afternoon session, it's our flow, period. That's what we're talking about, our flow. I know these things about you. You didn't check on me. Oh, you didn't check on me. You don't know if I'm dead.
You don't know if I died last night.
You didn't do nothing. Oh, this is Tam in the morning. Oh, who's gonna love the Tam?
That's right. Did you check on me?
You don't know what's going on.
You don't know what could have happened. I could have died. You don't know. I do everybody like that. Everybody. My mama, my cousins, My friends, everybody, and you even ask Jasmine. Ask Jasmine. I call her. What you doing? Where you at? You okay? Ask Crystal. What you doing? Where you
I'm
at?
talking about my
You
flow
okay? I call you. I'm telling you, don't feel
and
exempt.
how you are a part of that flow and how I juggle my day. That's what we're talking about.
What you doing? Where you at? You okay?
It's
Everything
just
all
who
right?
you are as a person. That's one of the things that I love about you. You
I
don't
check on
care
everybody.
what you
That
doing. What's going on? What's happening? Why you ain't talking? You have made me a better friend.
yeah.
Like I
I'm
was
that,
telling you the other day, all of these feelings that I've been feeling, this is a mess. I don't know how to handle this. I like compartmentalizing. I said it made my life a little easier. I know it wasn't healthy, but good. All these feels,
get them out.
huh, saying I'm not okay. How you doing? I'm not cool. I'm not all right. I'm a mess. I'm a mess right now. I'm going to go sit down. I'm going to take it.
Yep.
I need some quiet. No,
I
this is
am.
what's happening.
Jasmine, no, I call it. What you eat today? What you doing? Where you going? What you doing with yourself? That's what I do. I check on people. I'm a checker.
So with that, people don't think, they do like, oh, you don't do things for people. If you want something back, you do it out of love. In actuality, relationships are about reciprocity. So because I know what type of friend you are for me, I also reciprocate those things. And sometimes I go out of my way, or maybe out of sleep when I know I'm on my way out to the sleep, and go and talk to you and hear about what went on in your day. What's going on in these internet streets that I really don't want to know about? You know what I'm saying? What happened? What's
That's all
going
right.
on?
That's why.
Petty
That's why.
T?
That's why me and Jasmine be up talking.
I'm so glad Jasmine can sit up there and kiki with you, because I'd be
And
like,
she be
how
telling
do
me
you
stuff
do it?
I don't know. I'm like, for real, that happened? Where is that at?
Natasha, when I tell you a full spectrum of emotions, that's that Scorpio. The Scorpio is gonna feel all the feels. They want to get deep. They are going to crawl in your skin, cover themselves up, and just rest. Rest. So glad she got Jasmine to go kiki it up with these internet streets, because I'm like, I got on one show. I don't click a link. I don't give that energy. I don't give nothing to over there with that energy. That's a hot mess. Hurt people, hurt people. And I know the people that are
I don't
behind it,
know.
they about that money.
I,
I'm
I don't know if
not
we. I
mad
don't
at the
know.
hustle,
I
but the
don't know. I don't know
residual
if we
of
can
that,
say that anymore. I don't know if we can say if hurt people hurt people, right? I don't even think. I
I
don't.
mean, for me, I know that YouTube streets,
Yeah,
it's
but
a business,
I don't
right?
even. I don't even. I personally, this is what I think. For some people, not all. I don't think it's hurt people hurt people. I think. I think for some people, um, I think some people are soulless. Let me say it that way. Like there's no hurt on hurt. It's just they're soulless. That's what I think. And so when it comes off for one, it may come off as hurt, but for somebody else, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
they're
And
soulless.
you know what? I agree, because if you can spew, right at the beginning of the show said, such violence against your own people
Against yourself.
and against yourself.
Because the way I look at it is when people are talking about other people like that, that is a reflection of who they actually are, right? That's a reflection of who you actually like. This is really who you are as a person, right?
Yeah.
And I have found that when it comes to those people, it's not the fact that I would say I lose respect for them. I actually respect them more in a sense, from the perspective of at least I see who they are up front and not have to wait to see who they are behind my back.
And if they show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Believe them. Me and my aunt were having that conversation yesterday because we're more alike than she realizes in our dating life, and I think she pokes me because she's funny like that. But it's just like when a person shows me, everybody starts with an A with me. Men, women, everybody in my life starts with an A. You earn an F. At the end of the day, I am an active listener. I'm a social work major. I look at cues. I scribble them down in my brain. Also, I am very analytical. If you tell me a story, a piece of a story, then you tell me the same type of story, but things have changed in that story. I just put two and two together. The math ain't mathing. And it's not about, picking a person apart. It is basically saying, are these the type of people that I want in my space, in my life? Is this and in dating? Is this does he love the way I need to be loved? No. Is he a person that I can see myself growing with? No. Does the way
Well,
he
you finna get me to
conduct
start
things in his life something that I need for me? No.
You get married to have me start yapping because people think, I don't know why people think this, that all men and all women are the same. Like all men want the same thing, all women want the same thing. That cracks me up. But that's not the here no there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. JM, you asked about Salesforce before. Again, I'm not, JM, I think you've asked a couple of questions, and I just really want to know what your journey is. Like, what is it that you're looking to do? What's your end goal? What are you doing now, and what's your end goal? I don't have any opinions about Salesforce certifications. I don't really look deeply into Salesforce certifications. I look at
I had a friend who's taking it, and like Jasmine said, if you are using it, a lot of people use Salesforce and don't know it. Like we use like ServiceNow connects to a lot of stuff in the financial industry. They use Salesforce, but it usually has a interface on top of it, but it's basically Salesforce. But if you are looking into Salesforce has a lot of free information there on the back end, and some certs they're really low cost, but the admin portion of it, if you're going to do that, Salesforce has a whole lot of information about Salesforce. We are infrastructure people.
Yeah.
We are not app SaaS people. Tam is not a SaaS person at all. She'll be like, where do I do this from? She got a couple of apps that she uses, but Salesforce, go to best place to know about Salesforce is either in the chat with other people, in the Slack and ask about stuff, or go to Salesforce. They're Trailblaze or Trailhead or something. Like I went to a few Salesforce webinars about it. Like Salesforce over there, like Salesforce is huge.
Yeah, Dreamforce conference.
Dreamforce conference in San Francisco is huge. Like they have so many resources over there for people to use Salesforce because it's an enterprise app and it's across all industries. Go over there, and they have literally people that you can talk to. Like it's so laid out, so great. Even the courses, go to Salesforce.
Yeah, and JM, if you're doing actual physical hardware, I think your next layer up would be an operating system or networking or the cloud. And it doesn't have to be a specific order, but if you understand networking and operating systems, then you can understand the cloud. Like it's a control plane. Just like with Salesforce, you got an app, somebody built apps for Salesforce, Salesforce has their cloud, Salesforce has hardware, like they have their own thing. They have their own systems. So it depends on, again, what your end goal you want that to be, right? Another one to check out with Salesforce when you're talking about that is the security side of Salesforce, right? Yeah, if you're doing all of that, you might as well just go into what I'm about to talk about now. And pull up my screen.
You gotta
Uh,
share it.
yeah. Um, yeah. So I went and pulled these things. It just came over. Microsoft 13 billion bet on AI. Open AI carries a huge potential along with a potentially uncertain. hmm Security wise too. All right, let's go here. All right, so break that down a little bit. The 10 most in-demand tech jobs for 2023. This came out in January. This is from CIO. I'll go over the website after this, so you all have some context of CIO as well, the website. So for cloud engineers to developers to security pros, the best IT talent wages. Here's an outlook for what to offer and hiring the most 10 in demand jobs. So I'm gonna skip down here to them because I can summarize them for you real quickly. And let's scroll back up. Okay, cloud engineer. You can go from 102 to 143. Actually, you can go a little bit more depending on the type of cert for a cloud engineer. And when I say depending on the type of cert, I'm not talking about Amazon, AWS, or GCP. I'm talking about whether or not you are a DevOps or a cloud architect. That's what I mean, right? And then two, the other piece to that, underneath all the cloud, right, and is one understanding the services, but how to use those services, how to use GitLab, how do you deploy Linux, how do you deploy maybe a call center, how do you deploy a desktop inside of AWS or GCP or what have you. How do you set up an update server, a domain, a DNS? How do you do all that? How do you set up a phone app inside of AWS or GCP or whatnot? So with cloud engineers, there comes a slew of other skill sets that most people don't talk about, but I think a cloud engineer and a DevOps engineer, you end up kind of crossing roles there, if you ask me. When you look at a database engineer, looking at a back end engineer, creating a database, understanding how databases work from MySQL to Postgres, Redis, or MariaDB, any of the databases, Aurora or whatever the case may be, depending on the cloud that you're working in, right? And also, you may not work in the cloud. You may actually be working with a database. You may be working with Oracle, right? So it depends on the work that we're looking at. But that ranges from 105 to 144. DevOps engineer, DevOps, DevSecOps fall within that. SRE might be on here, but I gotta look and see. So between 108 and 157, we talk about DevOps all the time. We talk about Kubernetes. A cloud engineer, a database developer, and a DevOps engineer should probably know about Kubernetes if you want to get paid, right? If you want to get paid. Yeah, you would say you are mostly call centers are not working at a call center again. Yeah, and when I say call center, I'm talking about someone who actually build call centers out for people, literally building the infrastructure for the call center, not working at it, but building it, right? You take a little bit issue with the big organizations trying to set up plus or minus salary range for roles because the intention is to manipulate the industry salary standards. Yeah, that's why I say you have to know your worth. That's why I say you have to know your worth.
Right.
But
And it's our job to say no. And when we break down, when we're in the meetups and even here online, we're breaking down job opportunities, to look at a job opportunity and be able to say these are three different roles. What is your need? Because they are looking for a unicorn and be able to have that conversation. These are three different roles. What are you really looking for? What is the work that needs to be done?
Yeah, simply Jean. I don't know anything about the course careers technical sales. I'm assuming that's with, in that with Anthony AO and
I don't know. It's a young guy. I looked it up the other day because I think you sent me something, or I got something. I got something through somewhere, and I was looking at it, and it's a young guy who does it. It's when you're in tech sales. Also, you have to figure out of if you are a person that is outgoing and want to do tech sales. It is a sales position. So think of the sales positions. It's like a car dealership. You're going to have quotas. You're going to have to talk to people. Some people that might be an entry that you can do, but all of these jobs is not definitely a get rich quick scheme. It's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work. You're going to be on a team. You're going to have other people. You're going to have an area. You're going to have to make 500 calls a day. 100 calls a day. You might get a list. You might not. You might have to be on the road. So research these jobs. Research them, and where are you getting these jobs? Where are you looking for these jobs? Are you looking in California? Are you looking at a major tech company? Are you a smaller one? Is 30, 40 your base? How big can that range go? What are the sales goals? What are your bonuses? How many marks you have to hit? Like, you definitely have to do your due diligence, because we were just looking at something last night on Foolish Finance Fridays, and this lady was a teacher and she doubled her salary and she's making $90,000 a year in tech sales, and she's in rural New York somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to do the work. You get these things, you look at them, you take the class, and think you're automatically going to get these offers. You're going to have to do the research to see where can I go and what am I doing in the meantime in order to get this job. Do I understand what I'm selling?
Yeah, and this is where I get to this is why I push you all to be technical and then maybe switch. And some people may not agree with that. But until you understand the technology behind what you're selling, and then go talk to the customer and understand the problem and the products that are associated with it, I think you have a hard time. I think doing just the sales stuff, yeah, you can sell it, but when you start understanding the nuances, and I'm biased here, I'm being biased here. When you start understanding the nuances behind it, I think it helps you out a whole lot more. Just my personal take on that. When we're talking about this, that's just my personal take. I think one of the things that I just, from me being the customer, when I'm talking to the salesperson and they're like, "Oh, we got to get one of our engineers on the call." For me as the customer, that's another meeting I got to schedule, another time I got to schedule, and then I got to wait for you to find that person, this, that, and other, and then we got to get back on the call, and then I got to re-explain it again.
Right. That's why you got to be a sales engineer. You have
Right,
to know the tech.
right. So that's why I kind of push back on that, but I wanted to bring this up in um let me, because you all mentioned it. Um
Yeah, I don't like people that much to be calling them. And I worked in the mortgage industry, and I was like, processing this for me. I went and worked for a lender. I went to the sales meeting and stuff, and I was like, this is like selling prescriptions. Like, working at the hospital, you gotta get dressed up. You gotta go walk around the office, hawking your wares, and that's too
all right, so I'm just gonna give y'all this from
not
this
for me. It's
perspective,
not for me.
right? I'm gonna give you this from this perspective. So this is I'm not gonna go through all of this. I just want to show you some. Um, right here, Red Hat sales specialist, right? And so after completing this as a Red Hat sales specialist, you'll become familiar with Red Hat, RHEL, OpenShift, and Ansible, their place in the open hybrid cloud strategy, and their value to Red Hat clients. And then be able to discuss the unique Red Hat unique marketplace and recognize sales opportunities that come from completing Red Hat sales professional training. I'm saying to you here, if I know that I'm selling Red Hat, or if I'm selling Salesforce, or if I'm selling a unique product or whatever, I myself, the salesperson, and I'm going to one go out and, and search Indeed. Why? I'm going to go search Indeed for RHEL, OpenShift, and Ansible, because now that tells me the companies that are requiring that, and then it also is going to tell me the companies that's hiring for it, they have a need, and then it's going to tell me the industries in which those companies fall in. So me as the salesperson, I'm going to look and see what that particular job requirement is requiring, and then where they're seeing that need at. And so as I look for leads, and as I look for more people to interact with, I'm also gaining knowledge on how those things work and what they're looking for. Not only am I going to do that, whatever I'm selling, I am going to go through and just look. I'm going to go through and look at what that is. Like if I don't know what RHEL is, I need to know what RHEL is because I'm selling it, so I need to know it.
What is it? What are the acronym? What are the industry terms for it? Do I know? Am I proficient in what I want to sell? And then if it's a job that you want at a company, you need to look at the job description. You need to do your due diligence. You cannot depend on these boot camps, these courses to give you everything you need. Their job is to sell you the course. Their job is done. They're going to sell you the course. They're going to set up their aftercare or their communities or their Facebook pages and let you guys chat amongst yourselves. But you have to do some due diligence in that to get the job that you want in the industry that you want.
Yeah, and I want to add this too, because I am becoming proficient, and this is just not what my personal self. I'm just saying you as the salesperson, because I'm becoming proficient in the product. I am going to go sit in on other calls to see how they do it, what keywords they're looking for. Everybody has a sales script or what have you, but I'm going to go use it, because 9 out of 10, I may be selling to someone who doesn't even know the value, and so I gotta show them, right? And these are just my thoughts, because I'm the customer,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know as the customer, I'm knowledgeable about what I'm asking for, and I've already been to your website,
And it's
and
frustrating when the person that they give you for sales don't know what you're talking about and have to call you back. It's irritating.
right,
Frustrating.
I know what I'm looking for. I've been to your website. I I've downloaded the 90-day trial of the product or whatever the case may be, 60 days, whatever. I have also went through and installed the product and played with it and got some other questions about it. So by the time the salesperson is contacting me for that conversation, I've kind of decided on whether I like the product or don't like the product, but I'm still going to entertain because it's maybe something that I have missed in an offering. And on top of that, the free one doesn't necessarily give me all the enterprise things that you may unlock. And the enterprise things may not meet what I really need. It's just something that y'all have, right? So with that being said, this actually is a great segue into this other one. But let's finish this off, and then I got a video because I actually want to talk about. This is actually what I really want to get to. Help desk, tier one, tier two, tier three, and tier one, tier two, tier three, 25 percentile to 75 percentile, network admin, network security, 82 for 18 to 118, 112 to 158, software developer 103 to 148, software engineer 106 to 149, system security manager 134 to 194. Now, this is just a general because these numbers vary. Some of these numbers can go from for a software engineer from 150 to 350. They could go from 150 to 400. It depends on the company. It depends on what you're doing. It depends on the particular size of the company, right? It could be a startup that's looking for people. It could be a well-groomed, well-oiled machine, and they got something, right? Is it really depends on where you're at with stuff, right? But with that being said, we're gonna leave that open, and we're gonna go to this video right here. Now, this video is called the Ballot Scoreboard. What I want you to take away from this is how, just me personally, just being in the industry, how you should be thinking about the company that you're applying for and the company that you're already in. It does the work that I'm doing help apply to the strategy that the company has set forth? Does the work that I'm doing help with what the company deems the most important? Right? It's a 10-minute long video. A CTO advisor, I see you out there. You know well more than a part of some people in the chat about having the alignment on what the strategic goal is, and having the employees in alignment with what that goal is, equipping them with what the skill sets that they need in order to meet that goal, and also making sure that the customer is satisfied. And all that has to be done at the same time, including the sales and what their projections are for Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And I want you to take on this from a perspective of you are the CEO of your life, right? You are the CEO of your life. Yeah.
And then I just want to reiterate, I say this all the time. A lot of courses you don't even have to buy on Udemy, JM. Any SaaS company, they have support. They have documentation on their own products because you know what? They want people to use them. So Udemy is great, but go to the product directly first. There are so many free resources that you can use going directly to that application. Yeah. That's where I go first to see what they have going on, or if it's a partnership with someone else that they have something. But 9 times out of 10, if you want to go learn Jira, you go over there to Atlassian. Atlassian, yes. You want to go over there? You want to learn Salesforce? Go to Salesforce. You want to learn Google? Go to Google. Do you want to learn Google Cloud, Kubernetes? You want to go to Amazon? Go directly to the company.
Yep, you do have to know how to add value. Bonus if you can monetize that value as a salesperson or a consultant. What's the difference between DevOps and architecture? Well, most of the time, Let me say this. Let me start with this first. Most of the time when I hear DevOps, right? I also hear I also hear DevOps, SRE, DevOps architect, cloud architect, cloud DevOps architect. I hear they all start to run together. So I get that that's a question. So for me, DevOps is your baseline that we see, right? Your baseline skill set wise, uh, having some type of code repository, or you're using Git to push that code. Yeah, that's a whole episode. It is. I'm just gonna put it out there, put what I can out there, and then we're gonna move on. Um, Understanding Git or GitOps if you want to, and being able to push your code to some type of repository, and that repository could be GitLab, it could be GitHub, it could be Travis CI, it could be Amazon's code pipeline, it could be it could be Azure's, it could be whatever, right? Then another one is Kubernetes. What the goal was is to have the developers and the operation people come together and talk. And really, DevOps is really a methodology and not necessarily a position, but people have been for the past, I don't know, 6 years or so, it has been created into a position. So really like, oh, I'm a DevOps architect. Oh, okay, so you architect pipelines. That's what you do. And then the other piece on the other side of that, when we talk about architecture, yeah, when we talk about architecture, well, that's a lot because architecture, if you're an architect of the cloud, you're architecting something in the cloud, but you may have a hybrid cloud. And so you may be architecting something with OpenShift, or you may be architecting something with VMware, or you may be doing both, or you may be doing all three. And then, but still underneath all of those skill sets of architecting and scaling is still a understanding what the customer needs, what the company needs, and the skill sets that are needed in order to accomplish those goals, right? Yeah, DevOps philosophy architecture is a role mainly focused on design, yeah. But then it's the design of what, right? What are we designing, right? And that gets into so many other topics when we're talking about design, um, designing of the network, designing of how we are going to design uh, not just the network, maybe our security, how we're going to design our storage, how we're going to design our firewalls, uh, what products are we going to use, and it can get very convoluted when we're talking about design and architecture, and it can get convoluted with DevOps as well too. All right. So you have to figure out where you fall into place when it comes to this. So with that being said, I think everybody in here can learn something from this video. When it understand vision and strategy, understanding the financials, understanding the learning and growth, the customer, and then internal. Um, I don't care what position you're in, this is gonna always come up, but you hear about it when you have the meetings like, hey, we reached our we reached our goal, or we exceeded our goal for as a company. Here's the new contracts that we have coming down. When you hear new contracts, you should be thinking new customers. They like what they've heard and seen. They like what you've done. They want to see more of that. They want you to develop faster. They want a faster model. They want results. They want to keep track of that. And on top of all of that, we want to do it for a lower cost. We want to do it for a lower cost. All right. You all can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I see. That's what I hear when I'm in meetings, and that's what I look for. right? All right, so let's get started. Volume is up, and let's go. Let me turn my volume up too, and then we'll kick this thing off.
Where we're looking at the Balanced Scorecard, which is a strategic performance management tool used by management teams to set and measure performance in a way that is aligned with the strategy of an organization. So
I'm gonna start right there. Um, what is a balanced scorecard, right? So when you're listening to this, think about the layoffs that have happened and why the layoffs happened, and what is the initiatives that those companies that did do layoffs, what are their initiatives, and what are they looking for going forward, and how do you fit into the company that you're with, and how do you add value to that company? If you have a company, what value add are you adding to your customers? And also, what new customers can you gain and create another service and and provide a value add there? I don't care if you're in, if you work for yourself or you work for a company, the customers are the ones that keep the doors open. I was told I didn't have executive presence. What I had to learn was that was and how to exhibit it. This could come from, yeah, it could come, and again, that executive presence is such a it is such a niche thing. Let me say it that way. From the perspective of one person may value you as an executive, and another person may not value that, but you know your audience, and you know who you're in the rooms with. So again, you walking in with a t-shirt and a black t-shirt and some black jeans and some black shoes is not executive to some people, and then somebody else could walk in with the same thing and it'd be just as they'd be just fine, right?
Because it's such a biased thing to say you don't have an executive presence. Because I mean, what does that truly mean for you? I so agree with you, Tam. Because I mean, I'm for me at work, I'm dealing with a leadership issue, and it is crazy how what some people think being a leader is in those adjectives. Like being a leader is not condescending, it's not accusatory, it's not rude. And some people take those adjectives and run with them. That might be cultural, it might be spiritual, it might be misogynistic, how you treat people. So it's just like who I am as a leader reflects in who I'm leading at the end of the day. And so if the people that I'm leading say that they deem me as their leader, or we're in a team and I stand out in the crowd and they have elected me to be their leader, then I have executive presence.
Mm-hmm. And you can drop the link for CTO advisor to come up. That's all good. If you feels like coming up, that's cool. What have you? You rocked the jumpsuit at Google Cloud conference last week. Yeah, and that's the thing though. The what leadership looks like. People still try to hold on to that. What that
Old,
looks
old stuff.
like.
Like
Yeah, it's still the good old boys club.
it is definitely the good old boys
It's still
club.
the good old boy club.
Because I mean, we even see it when we go to Black conferences. We are dressed up to the nines, and we've been in conferences where they tell you got to have your hair done and your nails done and put your best foot forward. And then we go into other spaces like the Red Hat conference, and they are wearing hoodies and ran over tennis shoes and holy jeans.
Listen, I give it up to the ladies that could walk these conferences in heels. I give it up to them. It's no way I'm walking 5 miles
5-10 miles a day in
in
pumps.
heels. I'm not doing it. Cause some of them, like when we was in France, the conference was on the speakers when stuff was on one side, and then we had to go to the other side where you had to go all the way through past the auditorium, and then everybody had to walk around. Then we had to walk up 3 or 4 flights of steps.
We were clocking steps. I had that Fitbit. We clock. It is a workout. And not only this, the work, you got on 10 extra pounds because you carrying your backpack.
Your backpack.
And your backpack got water in it. It got swag. It got your laptop. It got all your power cords. And depends on where you're at. And in some countries, the conference hall or wherever the events are co-located. And so it's like all over the place. I'm not walking in no pumps. You not hell.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it because I couldn't do it.
And even when I met Tam, I asked her what did she want to be, and she was like a CTO, and I was like, we can make you a CTO tomorrow. That's some paperwork. We can make you a CTO, and you can start doing CTO things. So again, what you want to be, you can get that. You can get it done. You got to do the work. You can be the CTO of your own company today. We can get it done. You can go be a salesperson today. You can get it done. Where you want to go? What you selling? You can go be a partner with any one of these companies and sell their product. You can go be a partner with Red Hat. You can be a partner with Oracle, Google, all of these places, Salesforce, and sell their product. You don't have to take the course and go to a class and wait to go get a job. You can become a partner and be in business. And all the people that you just went to that class with, make a business or get with a business and say, hey, you know what? We want to do business development, and we are going to go out and we're going to get prospects and bring these prospects to you. This is how much we're going to get paid for that.
Yeah. The other thing too, the other conferences like AWS conference, it's at different hotels. I don't know how women are walking around in hard bottom shoes into the different hotels, and you got to be there in 10 minutes, and you may be down the strip. 15 minutes, you're down the strip. The line is out the door. People are already there.
It's raining.
You gotta have strategic. You gotta have strategic conference mindset. Who do you want?
I was thinking the same thing. Next conference I'm going to, I'm getting a scooter.
Yeah, you gotta.
I'm getting me a scooter.
Yeah,
you people that work there. Where we go? We were in Utah. The maintenance man, he had a little something. He zipped past me. I was like,
that was the police officer.
No, he was a maintenance man.
Well, and one of them was a police officer. So the other one is you got to have a conference strategic plan. That strategic plan has to be, who do you want to see, where are they at, what talks you want to go to, what training you want, because sometimes the training, you can't even go to the conferences because they training you to get your cert right then and there. So you're gonna miss all of those things, right? So you got to have a strategic plan when it comes to this. Did you drop the link for CTO advisor?
Oh, I sure didn't.
All right, let's get back.
Always be putting the pressure on him like he got to come up.
I told you he don't have
to. Yet.
I told you he don't have to. You said I never go to talks or conferences. I use them mainly for networking. I can watch the sessions on the replay. I like to catch them live. All right, let me go. Let me see. Gotta change the thingy. All right, here we go.
Why would you even want to use a balanced scorecard in the first place? Well, there are several reasons, including that they allow you to monitor and communicate progress towards your strategic targets. They allow you to link everyone's day-to-day work to the strategy and vision. They help you prioritize your projects, products, and services, and they increase financial health, increase customer satisfaction, improve efficiency, and increase knowledge and innovation within your organization.
All right, so monitor and communicate progress. That's really monitor and communicate progress of what you're doing on your day-to-day. All right, prioritize. Like you may get a project, you all may be going after a compliance, or you may be going after some type of some new customer, some new identifying market, or what have you. And then also increase the financial health, customer satisfaction, efficiency, and knowledge and innovation. So you as the salesperson, you should know this as well too. This you should know this as well too. That's a huge hack. Make sure you talk to the speakers. Yeah, I try to talk to the speakers. Yeah. But this right here is what you in as the employee and the employer should know. You should know that. You should know what your company's bottom line goal is, what your current group of people that you work with, what your current goal and bottom line is, work with. Not just the 2 week sprint, but what's your Q1 goals? What's your Q2 goals? What's your Q3 goals? What's your Q4 goals? What skill sets do you need to add value to yourself while you're doing this, in order to move ahead as well too, right? So these are things that you should be abreast of, right? Go ahead, bring them up. I can unshare this right now. What's going on, Keith?
Yeah, though I think I'm right on time for that comment. That if I love what you're saying, Tamika. There's people who are very advanced in their careers that don't get this point. Like at the director level, they don't understand what you're trying to share. So if you're at the beginning of the year, you know how you get these the KPIs for the year, the goals for the year, and the goals have these things that seem to have nothing to do with your job, like increase profit margin, blah blah blah, grow opportunities, etc. You're like, oh, I'm a DNS administrator. How am I going to increase profits in whatever the goal is? And I think what you're communicating is you better find out. Basically, you need to go talk to some people and understand why your job was approved. Your job wasn't approved so you can make DNS entries. We can get a robot to do that. The question is, how do you add value to if your company sells rubber stamps? You better understand how you're helping your company sell more rubber stamps.
But those KPIs affect you in the long run. I always know when there's changes. By the way, the supervisors come back and we have meetings in how things shift and change, or they're hurrying up to slow down, or new trainings start coming out, and you're just like, no one's talked to us about this training, and it needs to be done for a certain time because they're trying to make project goals and things of that nature. You have to be very, very aware and very conscious of those changes going around you because they're happening. And sometimes they don't have to let you know. It's happening on a project management level, a team lead level, and it's a trickle down effect. And at the end of the day, you can look up and be laid off, and they could have been telling you all along you're getting laid off, but because you're not
paying attention, you're not reading the tea leaves. I talked to one of my mentees, Jess. I love it when my mentees get promoted because it's like I got promoted. I don't get promoted anymore. So I have to leave. I have to live through my mentees, and my mentee works for AWS. And we were talking earlier this year, earlier in the cycle, in the promotion cycle. And he said, they told me I wasn't going to be up for promotion. I said, you know what? Apply for promotion, put the work in. He said he put 60 hours in, and he DM'd me last week and said he got promoted. And because he was able to tie, regardless of what his supervisor or manager said, he was able to tie what he did throughout the year to Amazon's corporate goals.
Correct.
And I rewarded him for that. The promotion committee rewarded him for that. So that's just an example. And I love as a consultant, when I was at PwC, we would spend, people would argue over, should we use iSCSI? And you don't even know what iSCSI is. Should we use iSCSI or NFS?
I know what it is.
Network. Tamika, we know you know what it is. Should we use that? And I was in the room with, SVPs debating on whether or not whether or not the whole team should be outsourced. So the technical arguments are really important. It's really important to know your craft. But I think the thing that's been in the chat and what you two have been really good at promoting is that you have to have the soft skill to know what's your value and how to promote that value, how to give yourself your own flowers because you have to, no one else will. And then 2 and 3, how to sell that value. Because if you can sell that value, Tamika just came in where you're talking about the red hat sales position. Those are $250,000 jobs. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily $250,000 jobs. That's like on target earnings. And I know sales engineers in similar roles that make about $350,000 a year once it's all done with. So I'm gonna let you two ladies continue to rock. I don't really have nothing. You're doing an awesome job.
We appreciate you for coming.
I just wanted to come and give y'all flowers because
I appreciate
you. Y'all, I don't need to do any of this stuff because you're already out here doing it.
No, let me ask you a different question. What do you say to someone, or how do you talk? How do you get someone to understand this issue? And the issue is, we see you apply for this job, but you're overqualified for the position because we have someone in the position that's underqualified, and you can't go into that position because you may show them up.
Yeah, so you not only have that position, like if you're listening to this podcast, watching this, chances are you have a go-getter type attitude. So you're going to get this all the time. It's like when I had a manager, I hinted to it in the chat, that told me that I don't have executive presence. Like, what does that even? I heard you talking about like what? That's such a bias.
What does that mean? I'm a boss. You can't tell me I'm not a boss. I'm out in here commanding a room.
Yeah, I'm literally in the client room, and I'm telling the SVP like, slow up, hold on, let's not jump to conclusions. How is that not executive presence? I'm literally telling an executive to hold up. So I'm going to hit this from a different direction, which is we have to ask ourselves some tough questions. And it's easy to ask ourselves these questions in a good job market, but it's harder to ask ourselves these questions in a hard job market. Is, do I want to work for that person? Like the bottom line is, if I'm fighting to validate why I should have the job now, will I ever be enough for this person? And I can tell you I've earned every piece of hair that I've lost. From my experience, there is no winning that person over. They've already predetermined what you are. You want people who want you to win. Like and I've been in the situation where someone said I was overqualified for a job.
They're the gatekeepers.
They're gatekeepers, and I heard that if I took the job, I was going to be gate kept there. So, but there is times where you need a job, and don't make say, hey, you know what? There's some holes in my skills that I think taking a step back will help really feel that, basically lie. Like, if you need to get the job, lie and say, you know what? There's some things that I think I can learn from. And people like that typically like to be impressed, flatter them. I think looking at where you're at in your career and what you've achieved, I think there's some things I can learn from you and really help this team win and get some of the short-term and long-term goals that you guys said you think you want to do. Tell people what they want to hear. If you need the job, if you don't need, if you're just interviewing and you don't need the job, take their word for it that you're overqualified for. And if you're, before you say thank you, is ask them, hey, is there a higher end position that you think you can refer me on to that I'd be a better fit for? That's happened to me plenty of times in my career.
And that's the other side of the conversation that people don't hear. A lot of times people hear, I just got denied, but then they're like, you don't have enough of qualifications. The other side is you're overqualified. And sometimes it could be the person that you're actually interviewing with, that you'll be working with, feels that you're overqualified.
Yeah,
Because
so this has happened. I don't know. Tamika, I don't know if I ever shared with you ladies why I left traditional corporate America. I had a sweet setup. I had just come out of working. I was burnt out from working at PwC. It's a very difficult job. I highly recommend that people take a tour as a management consultant. It is extremely difficult, but in the career accelerator. However, I went to work for my last customer at PwC. I didn't have experience in the area at all. It was for me to be the infrastructure architect for SAP. I know how to spell SAP, obviously. Don't know how to pronounce it. The agreement that I had with the hiring manager was, Keith, you're my race car. When I need to parade you in front of executives and we need to win internally, we need to win. You're kind of the PwC guy. You have a brand. You can help us get the application team off our back. And then, you can kind of do your CTO advisor thing on the side. Whatever you do is, I don't care, just as long as you help me win. Worked out well. I made 160 grand a year, had great benefits, really nice thing. And then I had my side hustle. We got reorged and I got a new manager. And, I was just being polite. I copied him on email to a VP that I normally communicate with. And he came into my office. He said, don't ever send a message to a VP without running it through me first. I'm like, one. So that was the beginning of the end right there. I'm like, this is, we're done. But a lot of times people feel threatened if you're, and this is why I hinted that the chances are, if you're listening to this, you're aggressive in your career. You want to get ahead. You're reading all that you can read. You're spending your Saturday afternoon listening to a couple of sisters and a brother spit knowledge about how you can be better at what you do. Chances are you will be better than your peers, and you will be better than the person that hired you. But how do you be better without, and I hate this. I hate, because we just did this with the sports thing. How do we be better? How do we be
how do
better?
you be angel?
Yeah, but how do we be better without being threatening? And we shouldn't have to worry about that. We shouldn't have to worry about that. But it's a reality, right?
It's a double-edged
I'm gonna
sword.
push that back to you, because not only are you minorities, you're women, and I have to be reminded a lot of times, I'm a minority, but I'm also 6'4", with a deep voice and a huge presence, and that's an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It comes in multiple categories. Give you a prime example. I already received the job. I've already been working on it. So then I had to go work with another team. Well, I was going to go work with the team that I was supposed to originally start working with. They wasn't ready yet. So when we got into the room and we all started talking, the first thing a couple of the team members asked me, even though we're all on the same team at this point, was, do you know anything about Kubernetes? Have you ever played with Linux before? Do you know anything? And I said, I already did the interview. Like, go, I already have the job. I'm not understanding why we're having this question here.
Well,
What is this?
let's just work.
Well,
Yeah, I'm here to work.
I'm here to work. I'm not here to.
I'm
like,
hired.
I'm already hired.
And
Right?
then if
I'm
you
hired.
think
So
about
I went through all of that
if you
already.
think about how insulting it is at our career level, like at our career level, we're not walking fresh out of school or
Mhm.
certifications. We have years of being in these meetings, sitting in these rooms, doing what we do. The reason why we're here is because we earned a seat at the table
and life experience.
Yep.
And a maturity that is needed in order to move not only yourself but your team in a forward motion, because it's about that growth.
Yeah, I shared that. I usually roll in the circles of analysts and media and other CTOs or whatever. And I shared that I was in the jumpsuit at the Google Cloud event. It was a customer event. I didn't realize it until I got there that, oh, I'm in my pandemic wear. Like I got on, my Adidas jumpsuit that I usually wear around the house as I work. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm here. Let's rock. And, it's the usual crowd, the usual non-diverse crowd.
Mhm.
Our guy, Bobby Allen, is there because he's presenting. And the only reason why I came was because Bobby was presenting. And I sat in the front row. I'm like, I am. When Michael Dell sees me, he says, "Hey, Keith, the CTO advisor." I figured if Michael Dell can recognize me as the CTO advisor, it's okay for me to sit in the front of this event with a jumpsuit on. If the guy next to me can have on Gucci slides, I can have on an Adidas jumpsuit. So I did what I do. I asked the questions that I asked, and afterwards, everyone was kind of blown away. They were like kind of, who are you, and how did you know how to answer those questions? And my internal reaction was, aren't we all in the same room?
Yeah.
I met with the director of partner development for CompTIA, and we were on virtually, and he had on an Adidas track jacket, and he was very Caucasian. And me and him are having a ball. He was like, these meetings usually last 30 minutes. He was like, I am so thrilled to be talking to you. He happened to live in my area, and what we gonna do? Let's have our next meeting over some drinks. Come on, drive on up. Like, people put their own stuff on you all the time. And for me, not only am I dealing with the hierarchy, I work for a foreign company, period. And me and my other teammate, we were brought onto this project basically because they needed some people that were in the US that spoke English and could do the work and could articulate what was going on. And also, when my old program manager told me was that and this is basically code, like why we hired the Black woman, because I could hold my stance when it came to an issue.
So,
and I was like, okay, well,
isn't it funny how the stereotypes, like, big black angry black man is effective. Like, it is effective. I'll go into a room and they'll say, don't you want to sit down? No, I don't. Not at all, actually. Because once I sit down, I start to lose my advantage. Being, I love going to conferences and saying I'm the big, tall black guy with a beard.
Over there in the corner. You can't miss me.
You can't miss me. But I can't stand it when I go to a conference and I'm standing in the booth and I'm ignored. Like, as if CTO, I missed that statement, but
we can address that later. I'm just going through the comments.
Yeah, so I don't, and people are shocked. They were like, so people on Twitter or in my analyst community are like, wait, you ask some of the brightest questions ever. Why would somebody ignore you? I'm like, you know what? You guess. Like, it's not until I open my mouth that they say, oh, we have to go get our CMO or our head or our CTO over to come answer these questions because we're not equipped to answer these questions. And the next question is, who do you work for? And it's It is what it is, but I think what I do appreciate, turning kind of this negative talk into a positive, is that uh, Black women are strong and they're able to absolutely hold their own because they have to hold their own, and that definitely has its advantages in the circles that we run in. So the being the backbone of our community is a transferable skill in the enterprise.
But I mean, in some instances, we don't have, like, oh, let me say it this way: we're strong, but in some instances, it's just you're just doing your job, right? It's for me, it's just doing my job. Like,
Mhm.
let me. Oh, we need to do this, that, and other. Like I said before, I don't have to like you to work with you, right? I'm not going at home. I'm not going home with you at night. I'm not cooking your meals. I'm not doing none of that. We're here to do a job. So let's do this job and be done. Can I work with racist people? Absolutely. I have all my life. I have all my life. It's not a thing. Racist, uh, misogyny is it done what okay, yes, I'm a woman. I got it. So what is it that we need to get done? What's the bottom line? What needs to
Because
be
this
done?
is wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah,
Not
because
how
at
it
the end of
works.
I mean, it's a strength of our community, right? We've lived under the thumb for long enough that we know how to thrive. I mean, on the screen now you have three three people doing it to the highest level of the industry,
Yeah.
and this is starting back from this is honestly starting from behind,
Mm,
and having the challenges that we have, and we don't make excuses. We get it done. Like, got to get it done.
Marshana, you said, I'm assuming you're saying, how can you work with racist people? Let me flip that. There are some industries in tech, some niche industries that have never had black people in
So, and the
them.
back when I did a lot of contract work, when I worked like desktop support and help desk,
Hmm.
they hired me over the phone, and I had a very customer service voice. I worked in call centers, and they hired me over the phone, and I get to the job site, and they're like, "Oh,
The
didn't
voice
see
didn't
that
match
coming."
what they thought.
That's not you're not the Keith Townsend that we thought was going to show up. Keith Townsend is not a very Afrocentric name, and it was it was tough, but not any tougher than what our parents had. Like my father worked at a gas station, not a gas station. Gas station is maybe too low of a thing. He refueled planes at Midway in Chicago, and he got called the N word as if it was just his name
Hmm.
by his coworkers.
Hmm.
And these are the same people asking him to work their overtime. So it's not as blatant as my father's situation was. There's a part of me that kind of wished it would be, so I know where I stand, like so,
And
so
that's
I don't have to guess,
And
because
so.
I'm not
that's
very
the
good
trick
at
that you
reading in
have to
between the
navigate
lines.
because
Yeah.
you have to follow the context clues because
Mhm.
they'll reveal themselves all the time because there's little things they do and it is those little gatekeeper things or what they say or how they say it. I
Mhm.
When you said something about that your manager saying don't you ever call a VP and like slapped your hand. I've been talking to this VP forever. The same thing with me. They're like, oh, it's again culturally, it's in hierarchy where it's a trickle down effect. I don't need hierarchy. If you're saying we're on a team and this is my team member and they send me some email, a request, and I answer that request and I have a question, I'm not going to ask that question to you. I'm going to ask my question to the sender. whoever that sender is, the VP, the PP, the EFG, I do not care. And you know what that person says? Because I love her because she shows them no mercy. And she's an Indian woman and she talks to them real crazy. The first thing she will say to me is, thank you for asking me the question. Because sometimes your managers are testing you to see if you're going to try to figure this shit out on your own, or do you need more information? They will purposely leave out to see what your problem solving skills are. And that will propel you to the next level. Hey, are you talking about A, B, C, and D? Can you clarify that for me? Where do you want this to go? Oh, da 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 da. That's how you get on the radar.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that management style. The other thing is to and this is for my men. Well, I don't care what race you are. Make sure that, and I don't always do it well, but I make sure that I'm working on it, and I ask for feedback from my female colleagues. I was on The Cube, which is
I know you're talking about
the pretty popular thing, and I was asking. We were interviewing some CTO. Like we interview so many executives and folks of power, and great conversation. And I have a peer who is she's a woman, and she does amazing job. She's not technical, but she does an amazing job preparing for each and every interview. Like, so when the interviewer comes up, she'll say, "Oh, I see that you won this award back in 1987 about blah, 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 blah. Can you tell me about it?" And she asked this, super, I could tell that she had researched the question and she was prepared to ask the question that she asked the executive. And he went to answer it, and he was looking at me. And I said, she asked the question, answer her.
Mm-hmm.
Call out misogyny when you see it. Don't, call people to don't embarrass people, especially on a live program. But it was another one, was a tech field day. And these two engineers were doing red team. They were doing black team, white team, or whatever the security term is. And the woman was amazing. And the CMO, whenever we asked her a question, the CMO would cut her off and answer the question. And I didn't say anything on video because, whatever. I could have, but I didn't say anything on video. One, the people were, I didn't say anything on video. But after the session, I said, you know what? When it was the feedback, doing the feedback person, the young lady was an Indian woman. I'm like, she's brilliant. And I was asking her, and I wanted to know her opinion. And you kept interjecting. She's more than capable of answering the question. If I wanted to ask, now I was this blunt. If I wanted to ask you, I would have asked you. So folks, guys, I don't care what your level is, guys. If you run into just women not being respected for just being a peer, make sure you call that mess out.
I have a female team lead that does that to her. So I wouldn't like the members on her team. Like, we'll be in an update meeting for that day, going over issues and stuff. And every time their name is called and they start, she cuts them off. Like, why do we need this update meeting when you know all the updates? I could be doing something else. If you know everybody's update, what is the purpose? She does it all the time, and I just count and I crack up to myself. And me and another colleague were like, "Oh my God, she's so rude." She's so rude.
I think I tweeted this the other day. My most effective manager that forced me to grow the most in my career, she probably wouldn't be a great manager for me now, but that helped me get me here was a woman. And she made me grow Like I was I was kind of an engineer when I started at Lockheed Martin, and when
Mm-hmm.
I left 3 years later, I was a full realized architect. Like
Mm-hmm.
I she had me at that place at late at night, and I come in and I present the next day, and she was like, Keith, that just wasn't your best. You need to go back and give your best, and I expect your best. She was like, you're one of the smartest people I've ever met, and this doesn't represent that. And that dual, it was in management, but it was also giving me my flowers at the same time and calling me higher. And when I performed, I got rewarded. I never in my career I got so many awards and promotions in a short period of time that I felt was, and this is why I loved working at Lockheed. And I think it was less about working at Lockheed and more about working for her. And I,
Mm-hmm.
I actually gave her flowers on LinkedIn the other day, and named her Anisha Miller, and like I would not be where I'm at today if she did not push me to where I'm at. So when you give true diversity and you give people that power to do
Shine.
what they know how to do and shine, I did it for her in accepting her leadership, and she did it for me in realizing my abilities and putting me in a position to exercise those abilities and allowing me to fail when I failed and calling me higher when I failed. I'm super grateful.
I
Yeah.
needed to hear that. I definitely needed to hear that because I'm dealing with the same issue with a team lead. He's not technically the team lead, but he's the longest person on the team. He's been there for years, and he used to do the position alone. And so, um, I had made some comments about his leadership style, and it was exactly how you said she did you. I'm going to call you to the mat to hire, but I want you to grow, because in our meetings, where you want to go is in a leader position. And if you're going to be a leader, then these are things you might want to you need to check, because it comes off as these things.
Yeah, so I talked about the position that my last official enterprise job before the
Mm-hmm.
supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
I pushed aside a bunch of folks for that position. Like I was the big time PwC consultant that made a phone call to executives and got the job that I wasn't qualified to get in people's eyes. I was
Mm-hmm.
qualified for the job because what I was being hired for was the value that they wanted and not the technical skill. They wanted the value, the technical skill was a bonus. And the one of the guys I kind of pushed aside then reported to me as a result. And the first year of the relationship was extremely rocky because he was bitter and he was
Passive aggressive. It's only been a day.
it's on yes, and it was and I had worked with him before when I was at PwC, so it was already a relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
it had gotten difficult. But I put him in a position to win. Like I'm like I I want to show you, I want to mentor you and show you why I got the position over you. So that when I leave, because I'm not going to be here forever, I've already said I'm not going to be here forever. When I leave, you should be able to jump right in. And uh, I had lunch with him a little over, a little under a year ago last summer, and he was extremely thankful. Like he literally thanked me for helping him get to where he's at in the organization. Because if it wasn't for that mentorship, and we as a people, we do this a lot, and this is why we win folks over. This is how we're going, especially in our age group. This is how we're going to change the world from our positions of power. But it's when it works, it's a wonderful thing. When it doesn't work, you have a story about when you worked with that racist guy.
Mm-hmm. And Marshona, you said, how do you navigate racist because it goes back to the video that I was talking about. The video is saying, regardless of whatever it is you think about me or how you feel or whatever, that doesn't help the bottom line of what we need to get done in order to move forward. If that person gets stuck with the fact that of color or you're outshining them or whatever, keep moving forward. It's just their issue. I've been around it forever. Like, so what do you want to do? You want to argue about what needs to get done, or do you want to get done? And here's how I think we should do that. Now, that's not to say people would try to undermine your thought process or undermine what you have going on. And that's when you have to figure out, is this healthy for me to stay here? Do I have an ally here? If I go talk to somebody, are they going to change, or what's going to be the situation? And so you got to figure that out. But this is why I always tell you all, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, your skill sets are going to get you in the doors, and being able to figure out what you need to do when you get in that job is going to keep you there.
Because at the end of the day, people, especially if you're in a meeting environment, people going to see that person. And they might not say something then. They might inbox you. That some might not say anything. You can figure out if that's the place for you or not. But at the end of the day, it's going to be somebody everywhere you go.
And it may not be racism.
And it may not be racism. It may be ageism.
It could be that you went to the wrong school. It could
be it could be biases they have about what goes on, who's it. Like I said, it could be cultural.
You could have just been in the wrong. You might have got hired in the wrong group. Like just like I don't like people. I've worked with leaders who were like, I do not like engineering. Like the culture has turned over. The engineering culture could have turned over 2 or 3 times, and they don't like throughout their career their operations, and they've never liked engineering. So nothing personal against you, Keith. I just don't like engineers. So right. Or I don't like IT, and you have to find a way to win. I worked for a publicly traded company. One of my first management roles, and the CEO of the company literally told me, he called me into his office, said, Keith, thank you. You brought us out of the Stone Ages. I could not get the sales leader to give me a proper for the life of me. Like this was at the start of the iPhones. I gave everybody iPhones, his whole team iPhones. I put the sales brochures on PDFs and loaded the phones with them. Just everything he asked me to do. And I sent out a survey, and he's like, IT just at this. He say IT at this company is just subpar. Like, what do you do with that? Me, nothing. You know what? I'm not going to win them over. I need to. I developed a thicker skin and realized I'm just not going to please everybody, and that's okay. I just got to please the ones that matter.
Right. And again, like I said, everybody's not going to be happy with your work. Everybody ain't going to like you. But the goal is we got to get this product out. We got to get this infrastructure built, and we got to do this to perfection. And then we got to keep it moving.
Because they're going to say, why you? They probably got a resume for their friend. Their friend didn't get hired. You don't know what's going on. Don't take that, unless it's really personal, because sometimes it is. But what people say and do is a reflection of their own reality. When they
early in my career, I did not handle this stuff well. Early in my career, I had a manager that would micromanage me, and I in return was extremely difficult. And now that I look back on it, I'm like, man, I was super immature, and I should have just learned how to just deal. And I would have got my bag a year or 2 later if I would have just learned how to deal with difficult personalities, because every time I left a job, not because my manager was difficult, but because someone else in an adjacent group was difficult, I just went to another job where I had another person, another group that was difficult. People are difficult. I might be the difficult one. Who knows? I might be.
It might be
I
me.
might be the difficult one.
Right. And then and the other part about this is you have to figure out where you want to go and where you want to grow. What skill sets do you want to grow in? Where you want to go and start aiming for those early. Don't wait, you've been in a job 5 years and then you're trying to figure out what your next thing is. You really like 3 years too late. You
Right.
should have figured that out early. Because again, um, you know, I don't advocate because people are like, well, you can't say that because of X, Y, and Z. Look, when you stay in some people stay at jobs 5 years, some people stay at them 20 years, some people stay at them at 2. You gotta figure out what's gonna work for you. People are like, well, if you stay at a job for 2 years and then you job hop, it just look like you job hopping for money.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I
Maybe.
always go, and I say this often: is the lemon worth the squeeze? Is this going? If this situation right here is, what is this situation right here? What is it going to yield for me? Is this situation going to take me to the next level? Then it might be worth the squeeze for right now because I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm stretching. But I got my eye on this situation because this is the only thing that I have to deal with. Now, if I go somewhere else and it's not, and I haven't worked on what I need to work on in order to take that, I'm not going to let that person hinder me from doing what I have to do to get to my next level. Because in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, I'm not going to even be worried about this person because I won't be here.
And the whole job hopping thing, another story. I was at VMware for officially 6 months, technically 3. I worked in Sanjay Poonan's organization. Sanjay Poonan was the president of SAP at one point. Then he went to VMware. He's the COO of VMware. I count Sanjay Poonan as a personal friend. We are friends. If he came to Chicago, I'd take him out to dinner. If I went to Silicon Valley, he'd invite me to a baseball game. We are personal friends. There was a reorg, and there was a sales reorg. I worked in the sales organization. I was a sales overlay, and they put 2 of us, 2 architects, in the same region. That doesn't work. There needs to be one. That's a waste of. And I'm like, between me and the other guy, one of us are going to get laid off. Dee talked about this before, that you have to read the tea leaves and know that the layoff is coming. And this has nothing to do with my performance. It's simply math. We don't need 2 senior level architects in the same region. There's not enough customers. There's not enough customer demand for that level of resource. We don't need 2 $250,000 resources in the same region. Okay. So Sanjay, my friend, had to review the list of everyone who got laid off, and my name came across that list. And he trusted his people and said, of the 2, which one is redundant? Keith is redundant. Keith is my good friend, but he still got laid off. I still got my layoff notice. The next day he called me up and said, sorry, Keith. And I'm like, Sanjay, don't get me wrong, I was mad. I was pissed. I put CTO advisor on pause to go work at VMware, and I was very angry, but I understood it. So when you feel some type of way about leaving a company after a year or 2 years, believe me, they don't feel the same.
They don't.
This person who's giving you a hard time about job hopping every 2 years, they are not guaranteed a job themselves for the next 6 months, let alone worry about what you've done the past 2 years. The question is, and how I approach things. And I'm very upfront when I'm looking for a full-time job. I take the Netflix approach. I'm here to do a thing. Like, you have a problem. I'm here to solve that problem. And
Mhm.
once that problem is solved, I either need to get promoted, transferred, or I will find another job. I'm not going to be here just doing nothing for the next until the next promotion cycle or whatever. When I was at PwC, I saw the culture up front. You have to do the job that you want in order to get promoted into that job. So if
Mhm.
you wanted to go from a senior associate to a manager or from a manager to a director, you had for the previous year to have performed at that higher level for the entire year to be considered, not get the promotion, but be considered for a promotion. And I looked at people's lives, the people who are doing this, and I was like, nope, don't want it.
All day, all night, no
No,
rest.
I was like, nope, don't want it. If you become the highest level at PwC and EY and Deloitte, the big four, if you get to the highest level and you're a partner and you survive, you get forced retirement at the age of 60 and you get your last salary for the rest of your life.
Mm.
Not worth it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't this job hopping thing, don't worry about it. People, believe me, it's
That's
the
what I
people who matter,
said.
like the COOs, the CTOs, the CIOs, they're trying to figure out how to get rid of you. So they're actively trying to figure out, I promise you, as much as you like them and as much as they like you, they are actively trying to figure out how to eliminate your job. That is their job, is to
They're
return
they're
value to stockholders. And if they can
they're
do it
what do
by
you call
firing
that?
their friends, they will fire you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I looked at I Ken Asbury, right? He was the CEO of CACI, and he bought the company that I had worked for, which was LTC. And he came to town when we got bought, and everybody, it was a crew of them, about seven or nine of people walking around, and they was introducing everybody, and they got to my office, and he went down the line of like introducing everybody, and I was just like, man, I'm not gonna remember everybody's name. He's like, you don't need to remember everybody's name, just know that I am the king, so just address me as king. I said, if I gotta address you as king, you're gonna address me as queen. So you won't ever forget my name. So when you the king and I'm the queen. So whenever you in the room, you look for me. I'm the queen. And so when we would have conference calls, and the CEO of CACI would get on the phone, and it's a national conference call. And he would like, is Sarasota checking in? And everybody be like, yes. He's like, is my queen there? I was like, I am king. What we doing today? He's like, you know how we do. And everybody used to be like, what? Remember now, I'm in the room. I'm the only black person at the company. And everybody be like, why he calling her queen?
he was
Because
hilarious too. He
because
was absolutely a delight.
because I commanded that. Like everybody else would be bowing down. I just didn't do that with him. And I never do that with any of them because I'm just like, you human just like me. And so whenever like I was just looking him up, and before he left, he sent me a personal email before he left. And he was like, I just want you to know I appreciate you saying what you said. And he had a love for cars just like I had a love for cars. And he was like, what you driving now? And we would share conversations about what you driving. So I just out of just, shits and giggles, I went and looked up how much his net worth was. And I'm like, oh, he worth 28 million, 30 million. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's what it
People
is.
they stop treating you like you're a human once you get up in the higher up you go in different arenas, and it's just like, I mean, goodness, people get stuffy. It's a mess. Like that's why when we are out and we're downtown, whatever, we meet so many retired executives, and they're just like, they just want to relax. Like I don't want to deal with all of that fluff with those people, and they tell us these crazy stories about what these people do to get their attention, or just stories about, past experiences. And at the end of the day, what I was trying to say earlier is that executive board, they have allegiance to the board, the stockholders, the shareholders, and that bottom line. You got to do what's good for you. If that's
Yep.
leaving, when the time comes, you get up and you go.
Yeah, one of my regrets was probably not leaving a job. So I got well, no, okay, I don't regret it. The when I got hired to in that position that I pushed my way into, a few months in, I got offered the job that I eventually took at VMware, and I repeatedly turned it down because that would have been burning a bridge. So the context, I called in a favor to get a job. I called in a personal favor to get a job. I got the job, and not any loyalty to the company, but loyalty to the person that took the risk in hiring me. And I
Mhm.
called it in as a personal favor. I'm not going to disrespect that personal favor.
Mhm.
So unless it's a material difference to my life perspective, there's a point, and I know there's a wide range of folks that make all kinds of different money on here,
Mhm.
and I need to make sure that I'm sensitive to people who are trying to get their bag. And I
Mhm.
know this may come off as bougie or not connected. I have cred. Me and Melissa, my wife, have been married for 25 years. We literally Friday showed our granddaughter the place where we met was the Palm House Hilton, where we both cleaned rooms for a living. And we were struggling in. We could not imagine a lifestyle like what we live today. Not
Mhm.
even, it's not, we can't comprehend it. We made 750 each and we struggled. So I understand, that's to say I understand the struggle.
Mhm.
There's a point where you make enough. And the difference between making $40,000 a year and making $100,000 a year is huge. The difference between making $160,000 a year and making $220,000 a year ain't that big.
No.
It really does not. It really doesn't change your life that drastically.
Mhm.
So it becomes a question of, is this additional $60,000 a year me worth damaging my business
The
relationship?
living worth the squeeze.
And it was not worth it. So again, I went on a bit of a tangent, but I want to make sure I respect the people who are out here trying to get their bag. There is a point once you get it and you've lived in it for a while, that bump in salary, that you the trade off isn't not it's not worth seeing, not seeing your kids. It's not worth not seeing your spouse. It's not worth your health. There becomes a point where you're just spinning your tires.
And the other part of that is also again what you keep, right? So I push everybody to 200 for a reason. One, for keeping sakes, and two, it's easier to say if you made $200,000 for the last 10 years, you should have or be able to at least have grossed a million in some type of investments if you do it right. But you got to have a foundation to do that though.
And I want to give some context. There is situations where the if you are not to that point, don't feel too bad,
Hmm.
because a lot of us go without for so long, and it feels like we're filling a bottomless a bucket with a hole in it. We got family, we got kids that went without, we have ourselves that went without. I got $130,000 in student debt from pursuing my bag. I don't regret it at all. I pay that I think it's $1,123 loan every month, and don't even it's a cost of getting to where we're at. But over the long term, you do. I don't even make $200,000 a year technically anymore. I make, I think, $120,000 a year on $30,000.
You mean W-2 wise a
Yeah,
business? Okay.
via W 10 my 1040. I make about one. I think it might even not have been. I think it might last year might have been 90,000.
All
So
right.
and
Yeah.
I also Tamika, you'll get a kick out of it. It's also when it test drove a AMG 53.
Mm-hmm.
How'd
Did
you
you like it? Yeah, he's still smiling, so I'm assuming you liked it.
Did you like it?
You know what? Mrs. CTO stayed in the truck as I test drove it because she didn't want me to get any ideas. But I've warned her that we're going to go through. I'm going to ease her into my midlife crisis. I'm not gonna shock her. And there's a beautiful sedan sitting in the driveway. It will not be of any shock to her. I really did like it.
Hey man, I'm not mad. Yeah, the new ones are out. They sent me a text message on the new ones, and the new allocations for the new Range Rovers is out. The V8 Range Rovers as well too. But yeah, the on the side of the W-2 side, that's what we were talking about earlier. W-2, like nobody tells you about all the tax breaks that you need to be focused on the W-2 side, because the actual US is set up for businesses, and so the bigger tax breaks are on the 1099 side. So finding that sweet spot of where you want to be at W-2, and then exponential side on your 1099.
Which actually complicated things. We have to talk about how somebody tried to buy the CTO advisor a few weeks ago, and me walking away from the deal. And one of the things that the phase of their due diligence that I said no to, and we didn't before we broke off conversations about the acquisition, was they wanted to know exactly how much cash the CTO advisor actually earned. Because so much when you have a small partnership like what we do, so much of my compensation is tied to business expenses. The company owns the car, the company owns the Airstream, the company owns these things that are direct benefit to me, but are legally tax write-offs. So when someone looks to invest in my company or buy my company, they have to, if they want to really figure out how much profit is there, we have to have this extended set of meetings for us to kind of divide out. Is like, is that a CTO advisor thing wholesale? Is this a Keith and Melissa Townsend thing that we should count as a benefit versus a business expense? And I'm like, I have no desire to do that. One, I don't want to sell my company, and two,
it's a lot of work to pull that apart and get the value. I got a client now that he solves puzzles for like any puzzles around the world. He's like the number one website puzzle solver, and he's an old Wall Street guy, and he created his own little stock trading app, and then he created this puzzle app, and he's had this puzzle. He wants to walk away from it, but he doesn't want to just give it up to anyone that he doesn't want to give it up to anyone that's not going to adhere to his vision of what he sees.
yeah, that's a challenge when you're thinking about selling your company. Me and Melissa have talked about this quite a bit. Someone can you imagine if, you saw the CTO advisor brand slapped across some managed service provider, and you're like, that's not the CTO advisor. But there has to be a point when, if I sell my company, that I have to be okay with that they can do whatever they want with it. They bought it. And if they want to change the CTO advisor into a ditch digging company, they paid the rights to do that. What's difficult, and I think there will be a point in time that we're able to do that emotionally, but what's difficult is when you have a business like mine where I am the business. Actually, the other week when we were going through this investor conversation, I could get the line from Jay-Z finally. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. That I am the business, and if I were to sell the business, there have to be a period of transition where I transition the business to beyond my personal brand. And I have to be here for that whole period of time, whether it's a 3 to 5 year period. I'd have to be an employee of my company. What was my company? I'm an employee and watching it being transformed to something that I may or may not have approved of the whole thing. And that's all stuff to think about. Stuff you don't think about when you first start the thing.
Yeah, and that's his problem. He was like, I don't like the direction where people want to take it. And he doesn't want to be an employee in it as well too. He just wants to be out, but at the same time he wants to be in. And so it's a hard pill to swallow, and his children don't want anything to do with it. They're not interested in it at all. And I think he wants to sell for 30 million. So it's one of those things where you're like, where he's like, what do I do? And
it's a tough problem, because when you hear the $30 million number, you're like, $30 million, yeah, I just sell it. It goes back to the enough thing. Like, I joked about going to go test drive the E53. I'm not going to buy one because I have a list of like 30 things I want to do personally to before I spend that much money on a car. But there's also the thing of where when you earn enough money, like believe it or not, there's a point in time where you earn enough money. Your priorities change. You might be more focused on leaving generational wealth. You might be more focused on retirement, whatever the goals, the buying stuff no longer becomes a thing. So when you think about having an asset that's worth $30 million, I don't currently have that problem. But when you think about buying an asset, when you have an asset that's worth $30 million, that goes towards your net value, your personal net value. Like you might have $1 million in the bank, but you have this $30 million asset, and that is a asset that you can borrow off of. You can literally borrow off of it. He could load it up with debt. If he wanted to cash out, he could literally just load it up with debt and let the thing run itself and let it service the debt. And then that's a way to get your money tax free.
And he got a whole different problem. He's like, he don't care about the money.
That's legit.
He cares more about the business because he has enough money to live off of. He's, like when he asked me that, and this is the different circles that, I travel in, I tell him my goal for retirement is 10 to 12 million. He's like, that's too little. And then when you talk to other people, when you talk to financial advisors and wealth advisors or people who are in the industry, they'll be like, that's too little. And so then you get to thinking about, well, what is it that people are doing and what are they making where someone says 10 million is too little? And you get to asking questions.
And you discover, like my number went from 1 million to 5 now. 5 to 6 is my number. I'm not trying to and this is again a whole nother conversation. I'm not trying to leave generational wealth to my children. That's not a goal. My goal is to My goal for my children is for me to equip them to be able to get their own bag and put them in a position where they don't have to struggle as hard as I did. My youngest son just came back from Japan where he proposed to his girlfriend. I wasn't doing that at 29. So
Right.
no, he has a CS degree. He has a computer science degree. He gonna be okay. So it's
You
all
gonna leave him nothing?
huh?
You ain't gonna leave him nothing?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna leave my kids something. I'm gonna leave them what's left over.
Okay. You gonna leave him what's left over.
I'm gonna leave them what's left over. Like the
Okay.
goal isn't to leave generational wealth. The goal is, the people say, okay, if you're thinking about retirement and what you're gonna leave your next generation, like when I'm 85, 35, 36 years from now, when I'm 85, my youngest will be Marcus will be 64. What does he need money from me for?
You made grandkids.
That's his job. Like I've set him up to do that for his children. That's my generational gift. My son has no debt, has paid off his first car, isn't looking to get another car. He's an application developer. He makes application developer money. He doesn't need my money.
Always need your money, Keith.
Huh?
He always needs your money, Keith.
No, he will always like to have my money. He doesn't need that. I didn't share that part of that $135,000 in student loan is his student loans too. So I'm paying those off. So I'm giving them their inheritance as they live. I'm helping with weddings, down payments, etc. But when Keith and Melissa decide to retire, we gonna have a good time.
Right. And for me, my retirement is not just for me, it's for family members, friends, leaving behind. Like I would love, it's not no I would love, I am gonna build scholarships, build a scholarship program surrounding women in Linux and entering in the tech field and so forth. So, but I want a scholarship program where people can apply. I don't want to leave $1,500 in a scholarship. Something like $5,000 in a scholarship that people can apply for and so forth. Like it's just one of those things that I've thought about. Like how can I make not necessarily the next generation, but just people better after me, right?
And I think I absolutely agree with that desire. I think I've done my part for my offspring to make sure that they're already in a better situation than each one of them is more or less in a better situation than I was at their age points. What I'm more focused on is how do we get these folks in this chat room? How do we get them? How do we get them their bag now? Like, how do we get them their thing today? And I'm actually thinking about something, and I have an idea. And I don't know if am I mistaken? You shot me a note, said you wanted to talk about some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about some stuff. I got some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, I got some ideas. We opened a new data center we're opening it. We assigned the paperwork a few weeks ago. And we're going to open it and move our data center to facility. And a new data center provider has a huge non-for-profit that they started and funded it with money. And I have some ideas.
Yeah, I got a lot of ideas that to the point where people are like, you got to build out the nonprofit more, scale it more, and scale the for-profit side, because I have to turn down contracts because I don't have enough people in place in order to build things out. So I have to make a life decision, and it's something I thought about in 2017. doing, but now here we are. And that decision is, how do I train people, put them in place in order to scale what we need. And people have reached out to have me help them build their infrastructure programs, their training. I had meetings all day yesterday about it. I got meetings on Monday about it. And then how much do you need to build these things out? And so, those are the conversations that I have been having. But not only that, uh, it's not me necessarily taking people with me, but it's equipping people with the knowledge that they need if they want to go into business for themselves or they want to go work for someone else. Right? And if somebody had to go work for somebody else, why couldn't it be your own company that they work for, your own government contract, your own training facility, your own whatever? So people have reached out for me to um, have a studio as well too for women in Linux, and it's something that I wanted to do, and it's something I've been thinking about. All the shows that we have will have their own network, like a Women in Linux network. Something I wanted to do a long time ago, just never sat down and did it. So yeah.
So
So
let's talk about let's schedule some time, talk about some ideas, because I have ideas and I have infrastructure and I have
right.
people. So let's chat.
Yep. So yeah, I've been looking at commercial buildings to buy in various cities. Um,
Yeah, I have a guy who bought one in Chicago that needs work, and he needs money, but he also needs people. So let's chat.
we'll
All right, I have to get stuff done.
No
I
problem, man.
appreciate it.
I hit you up.
All right, bye.
All right, thank you. Filthy Frank Black, you said decentralized venture capital funding, yeah, or fund it yourself. Yeah, funding for myself already. I push people for RHCSA because it's so much more than just the skill set. But I recognize that a lot of people are not comfortable with their own skill set and their own business acumen, that they will always work for somebody W-2. I recognize that. And then I also recognize that some people are just going to be business owners and they don't want to be technical. And I recognize that some people want to build courses and that's what they're good at. And then I recognize there is a part of tech that just wants to talk about it. And I recognize that people just want to talk about tech. And so that's why I say you have to really, really dig deep in yourself and recognize who you are as a person. And if you had to bet on yourself, what would you bet on yourself on? If somebody walked in the room right now and they said, "Hey, I want you to build a business and I break you off $2 million, what are you gonna build? Who are you gonna contact? What are you gonna do?" Your bills are paid for, your house is paid for, your cars is paid for, you got money set for retirement. Here's $2 million I need for you to build this business, and I need you to build this out. What's going to be your thought process? What's going to be your game plan, and how you're going to do it, and how you're going to turn that 2 million into 4 million, and 4 million into 6 million, 8, 9, 10. Right? How are you going to do that? And what are you going? And who are you going to rely on to do that with? Right? Who are you going to rely on to do that with? If I told you I own 15 YouTube channels, and I said I need a manager to come in and manage those 15 YouTube channels and grow them out, what are you going to do? Right? I'm going to pay you a salary of 200,000 right now, and then let me know all the people you need to grow that out. What are those people? Who are those people? And how are you going to build that out? That's why I have to finish this up next week because we've already went over 2 hours. And this is 10 minutes long, and it's a lot of information that I want to break down. I'll save this one for next week. I'll make this show next week to talk about this balanced scoreboard. and what that looks like, especially if you're talking about building a business. I actually have a mind map that I created about how Tyler Perry, Oprah, Spike Lee, even Taylor Swift, and so forth. A commonality theme that I just went on a self discovery for myself about them, about how they built their businesses, how they built their brands. What does that look like? What their team member breakouts are, because you can do the same thing in tech by building out, becoming a cloud architect, or becoming a consultant, or becoming a building a business, right? So I just want you all to have that. Yeah, we are having another show on Sunday. Sunday is Security Sundays. I have some security stuff for there. The goal is to drop every day. They said, Filthy Frank, you said I had my bank account frozen last week temporarily, and it got me to thinking what I would do if I had to make money on the side quickly and tech. Exactly. What would you have? Who are you? If somebody recognizes you, in a if you were walking through a conference hall or somewhere, who are you? What label, and what's your label? What's your brand? What's your skill set known for? Who are you? When I walk, people know me as Women in Linux, but actually I'm so much more than that. So these are conversations that I want you to have with yourself. Ask someone, this is your homework. Ask someone that you know that's really close to you, or maybe somebody that you run into here and there or whatever. Ask them what would be what are the top three skill sets that you know I have that I'm really good at? What are the top three things that you know I'm good at? Do you know that I'm good at remembering names? Do you know that I'm good at putting things together? Do you know that I'm analytical? What are the what would somebody know you for? Right? Does somebody know you for sports, or does somebody know you for being an asshole? Like, what do they know you for? What do they know you for? And then do that for yourself. Make a mind map for yourself of your skill sets. And then what are you really good at, and what are you just really are bad at, and what do you want to get good at, right? The things that you're bad at that may not necessarily be the things you want to get good at, right? Those just maybe things you're just bad at. And so you may hire out for those things. You may just hire somebody out for those things. All right. Would there be an after dark, like we do on Saturday nights? Probably so. I'm hungry right now, and I need to get me something to eat. But I just wanted to share these things with you all. I do have so much more, so much more that's going on behind the scenes that I wish I could share with you all, but there's really I can't share them just yet. I can't share them just yet. I know, right? But D knows about them. A few people know about certain things, but everybody don't know everything. Just the certain things, right? And you just heard the conversation that we just had. Like, when I was on somebody's podcast and we were talking about buying a data center. We were talking about I'm still in that conversation about buying a data center. So I got to get back into where we're at with that. I know some of them have been purchased, but maybe some of those data centers don't need to be. And then when I say data centers, these data centers are housed in skyscrapers, and maybe they don't need to be skyscrapers anymore. Maybe they need to be condos with a data center at the bottom, or maybe they need to be something else. But that's another conversation for another time. And yeah, shout out to the broke college students.
So much on these plates. There's so much. We've been planting seeds for so long. You know, it's good to see these things come into fruition where people are, like I said, they don't have to come see us. So I'm glad that it's that time and we're
Yeah.
doing it our way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I hope y'all enjoyed this conversation. You seem like you did. Y'all are still here. Um, those that watch that's part of the replay game, leave your thoughts, your comments. Again, do your own homework on yourself on what that looks like for you, right? In terms of like what your skill sets are, what you're really good at, and it doesn't. These skill sets don't have to be technical. They could be soft skills. And one of your skill sets could be that you're really good at understanding complex things and breaking it down to people that don't understand those complex things. And another skill set could be that you just understand complex things, but you can't break them down to people. You just may understand complex things, and you just haven't gotten skilled enough where you can break down those complex things into, I don't necessarily want to call it layman terms, but that's what they say. What are your top skill sets, soft or technical? And then, oh gosh, God, I can't leave y'all without this. Hold on. Um, hold on 1 second, and let me do this. Um, let me see. Um, hmm, let me look. Hold on. I'll tell you in a minute. That's the communication matrix. I'm trying to see. I might have had it on mine. It may be on mine, Meister. Hold on. Because I go in between the two. Um, is this it? It might be. Hold on. I'm trying. It's pulling up. Okay, yeah, I did this before. I haven't finished it though. Um, it's I did this back in 2020. All right, D, you can share. And let me make it a little smaller. Um, so this is my own mind map of myself. As you can see, I haven't finished it yet. So
My mind map is ridiculous. Like I have to pull it out from my Jira board. It's ridiculous. I'm like, I no wonder I'm not. Well, I am crazy a little bit,
yeah.
but it's ridiculous.
So this is I haven't finished this yet. This is I started it last year, but like, what are my assets, right? Yeah, no, I broke that down. What areas do I have problems with? And I had you all fill these out. I think I did it this year. I think Afri, I think you was on here. It was on a meetup. It might have been another time, but then solutions and then skills and then talent and then how you rank these things, right? So this is just one way. You don't have to do it this way, but this is how I did it for myself, for me, right? And I think I talked about this on the meetup. So this is not a new concept that I'm talking about. And then I had on the meetup, I shared this out with folks. I might have did it on a live. I don't remember. It was a live or a meetup, but I remember sharing this out and going through that. But this is what I'm talking about. Who are you? What are your assets? What are your problems? What do you provide solutions? It was last year. It's 2022, but I don't remember if it was a show or whatnot. Skills, talent, and then take all that stuff and rank it, right? And the reason why I say that because now you get a chance to really do an introspective of yourself, and then you get other people to fill this out too. Like, just hey, just look at this, give a little brief summary of what you're looking for. It doesn't need to be like detail, just like boom, 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 right? And go from there. So yeah, yeah, it might have been alive. But then take that and then monetize those things. All your assets, monetize them. Monetize every last one of those assets. And then when you start doing that, you start seeing like, man, you're way more valuable than what you let on. All right. So D, you ready to get up out of here?
No, never, ever want to leave the people. That's some full of shit, I know.
You not ready to go? I can't hear you. You're not ready to
I
go.
said
What?
never, but I'm hungry.
You never, but you're hungry.
I'm a little
Oh, why
famished.
you can't say you hungry a little louder?
I thought I did. I
You
thought I was
did.
whispering loud. That's why I leaned into my microphone. And
No,
I'm
you.
a tad bit famished. It is 7:15.
I'm hungry. I hadn't had no breakfast.
I had this smoothie that, I hate a warm smoothie, and it got a little warm.
I gotta light my candle.
Oh, those are the good ones. It's one here, and I lit a little bit, but I rather like do a spice pot because the carcinogenics and stuff, all that get smoke and stuff. But do my grapefruit and my clove, a little pepper, a little cinnamon stick.
Oh, that sounds like real healthy.
It smells so good.
She do. Coda Evelyn, you know she do.
What happened?
She said, "Do you want to cut the live stream? The fourth letter of the alphabet. You know how she do."
I almost clicked it by accident though. For some reason, my screen that is the dashboard is stuck, and I'm trying to minimize it, but I can't. And I almost clicked off, and I was like, "Oh my god, I would never hear the
No,
end."
it will prove
If
my
I
point.
clicked off this live stream, I would never hear the end of it.
It will
Never.
prove my point.
Never hear the end if I clicked off this live stream.
You do it all the time. We be in the, like, all right, y'all, good night, bye. She's
I hit
ready
the
to have
wrong button. Instead of leaving it for myself, I end up clicking leave everybody, and I was like, oh. I was like, well, I'm gonna hear it. I'll do it on purpose.
Like, why do you do that?
But y'all could stay on for like another hour or something.
Heather, don't pay her no mind. We you know the real. Everybody who been in the meetup, y'all
I
know the real.
I don't want to hear it from you or the peanut gallery that includes Heather and Evelyn.
You know she ready. All right, y'all. Let me go before it
Because
gets
I can be all night.
Bye, y'all. Let me
I'm
leave.
and I'm
Let
going
me
through some
leave.
things. See, she cut herself off. So everybody have a good night, and we will see you tomorrow for Security Saturdays. So I'm not going to be the one that cuts it off. Have a good night.